So I'm 3 years old, and stepdad comes along. And I don't like this very much because he is taking my mom's time and attention. And when I go to climb in bed with them at night, one night he says, "Isn't she old enough to be sleeping in her own bed now?" And I glared at him like, how dare he tell my mom that I can't be around her. And she said, "Come on, sweetie, let's get you back to bed." And so I waited till they fell asleep, and I would climb in, and they had a water bed, so I had to be very careful not to rock the whole bed. So I would scoot onto the edge of that hard part of the water bed. Was padded, so it wasn't too bad, with a hand on and a foot on the floor to keep me from falling out, but where I could be close enough to my mom. And sometimes they'd catch me and take me back to bed, and other times, by the time the sun came up, I had taken over a good portion of the bed and made it till morning. And at this young age, I started to collect evidence against stepdad. I just watched for all his faults, and there was some pretty good fights. They had some pretty gnarly fights. One time, Mom had her bag packed, and I was so happy. I thought, this is it, we're out of here. And I said, "Come on, let's go, let's go." And he said, "Listen, I'm really sorry, and if you stay, I promise that by the time she's 8 years old, we'll move to Colorado." And I said, "No, Mom, please, let's go, let's go." And she said, "No, it's okay," and they made up. And I remember I kept tabs. I remember when I was 8 years old, I brought it up. I said, "Look, we're not in Colorado. Are you going to leave now? Like, let's go." And nope, she didn't. But I was really collecting a lot of evidence. And the truth was, he really wasn't a bad dad. There was some interesting moments for sure. Like one time he had a bunch of friends over and they were all sitting in a circle and there was smoke. Like that 70s show, right? And he was playing this little game where he was kind of tormenting me. And I was laying on the floor and he said, "Watch this, guys." And he was doing a trick where he pretends to step on me with his big old boots. But he really just puts no weight on his foot and steps over. And I don't know, I guess I sort of liked the attention, but it was kind of weird. And, but most of the stuff, I have to say, like, I was just collecting evidence against him about why he was a rotten, horrible guy. And I would tell him when Mom left me alone with him, "I'm going to tell that whatever, whatever he did, it was dumb." And he'd say, "Go ahead." And, he made me so mad. But I have to admit that he brought a lot of structure to my life. And it wasn't until years later when I was in rehab and I was figuring out who my resentments were. And he was at the top of the list. And when I had to fill out this second column that said, why did I have a resentment against him? And I thought of all this information I'd collected over my life. And truth be told, it was none of those reasons. The real why that I didn't like him was because he wasn't my real dad. And that was kind of sad because he wasn't my real dad, yet he had stayed and he had been a real dad to me. He had provided me with a beautiful home and brothers and sisters to love, and he took good care of me and my mom. And he really did always treat me like one of his own. And so, yeah. That's all.